Caton will be teaching Dilemmas Facing Our Legal System.
The full title of this course is Difficult Dilemmas, Social and Political Problems That Challenge Our Legal System. And the format and idea is, in each of the 6 weeks, to take up separate topics that are both contemporary and very contentious in terms of the culture wars. First, examine them historically and factually, and then look at and focus on what happens when those problems become the subject of cases that enter our legal system and become the topic of judicial decisions. The topics that we'll take up in order for the purpose of asking the ultimate question, how well or poorly does our legal system handle these dilemmas? We start with poverty and homelessness and the income inequality gap in this country. We move from there to the very polarized situation in state legislatures and city councils between the advocates of complete freedom of gun ownership and possession, not only in the home for self-defense, but to carry around concealed weapons, versus the advocates of gun control, in the light of a somewhat confusing Supreme Court decision a few years ago, which leaves a lot of questions to be answered. The third class takes up immigration and the struggle between the federal government and some aggressive state governments like Arizona and Alabama, who are trying to take control from the federal government over law enforcement related issues, particularly identifying illegal immigrants and dealing with them in rather draconian ways. The fourth class will take up the tension between the environmental movement and how it gets stalled in times of economic troubles, such as we're in right now, and the tension between business and industry and the advocates of environmental reform. The fifth class takes up prisons and the condition of prisons, particularly in California, and how those situations led to a landmark United States Supreme Court decision that affects all of us in terms of our local counties and how we're dealing with prisoners these days. And the last class takes up the topic of health care and the limits of congressional power, which of course deals with the Affordable Care Act, which will be the subject of oral argument before the Supreme Court before the end of this month. It'll still be under submission as the time we take it up, but it's obviously among the most timely of the topics we'll address. As always, I pledge to approach the legal and constitutional issues in plain English to make them as interesting to everyone as they are to lawyers and judges. I hope you will consider joining us on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Kurt, thank you.